The Christmas Fusion is here. The tournaments have started to get him. I want to look at Blizzard the Howler and see if he's actually worth going for. Welcome on the Deadwoodjedi. This is a Raid Shadow Legends video looking obviously at the Christmas Fusion champion, Blizzard the Howler. Now, there's two parts to this, right? One is the champion himself, and that's what I want to look at today. And then the second part is obviously the fusion itself, right? The things required to get the champion. That I'm going to save for a separate video because I feel like it's a separate topic that we should talk about. But today I just want to look at the champion, Blizzard the Howler. Is he good? Is he worth using whatsoever? And right now, I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think for most of you, he's probably going to be a bit of a pass. Now, as always, the opportunity to get a free legendary is a free legendary. Having options is good, and you never know when either content's going to change or champions are going to change, and we have a lot of reworks possibly coming in this next year. In that case, it might be worth getting him because he does have some interesting stuff in his kit. That said, as his kit is right now, I am not convinced that this is a champion that's going to improve many accounts out there. Now, your early game, if you're mid game, he's actually going to be really, really good for you in progression stuff. And I think that's where he's really going to shine, where I want to showcase him today. But first off, let's go ahead and go over his skills real quick. I'll try to be quick about it since you guys could read them yourselves. But I want to read them in the idea of how those skills, like, what do they mean? What do they mean about this champion? What do they tell us about where we're going to use them? That's the idea with going over these skills here. I want to take a moment and thank our sponsor for today's video, Dragonair Silent Gods. Season 2 is just about to begin for many players out there, and I am super excited about it. Brand new season, span new game. One of the reasons why we're doing this integration today is because tomorrow, literally tomorrow, the 16th of December, I'm going to be streaming live with Hell Hades. So come catch us live on stream where we're going to be giving away a bunch of rewards. You're also going to be lucky enough to see Mr. Hell Hades and myself dressed up in pirate costumes. That should be pretty exciting. So make sure to stop by and check us out. It should be a lot of fun. We're going to go over Dragonair Season 2 content. We're going to look at the new mechanics that are involved, new champions that are involved, and it should be a lot of fun. Plus, you know, we're going to hang out and probably talk in some pirate voices for a little bit. Should be really fun. Anyway, guys, I just want to let you know about that. So if you're interested, download Dragonair Silent Gods today. So if we look at his skills, obviously A1 here, triple hitter, 40% chance, 50% when booked of placing a freeze debuff. That's actually a really strong A1, right? Multi-hit ability, that's first off. Freeze, which is a hard CC off of that, second part, and a pretty good chance of actually landing it. All those are pretty good. That's a really nice A1. Oh yeah, he's defensive based too, so you can build him to sustain and deal damage. I really like that kit. Like, I like that A1 a lot personally. I'm a big fan. So there's a lot to like on that. That's telling me, you know, counterattack accessories, counterattack sets, all of those are going to be really good. Masteries as well, because I want as many A1s as possible because everyone has a chance to freeze the enemy. That can be really good as far as stopping the enemy from going. The A2 here, it's going to be a cleanse of any of the hard CCs, right? Stun, sleep, fear, provoke, anything that's basically going to take your ability to, you know, control your character away from you or take away their turn, right? Hard crowd control abilities. He's going to be able to cleanse them from all allies. Also has an increased defense and ally protection buff. Now, I don't want to get to it. I want to talk about this skill because as much as it's a nice ability, especially the fact that he can actually remove petrification, which I think is kind of the key to this skill that makes it unique. Not many abilities can actually cleanse petrification. Even full cleanse abilities don't cleanse petrification. So that's a really nice ability to have there, but there's some issues with it. Some issues that I want to go over later. This is primarily a skill that we would be seeing in either Doom Tower waves or City of Centranos waves with Mithrala, kind of the only champion that places petrification right now, or in Arena, right? And so this is why I'm like, how useful is this going to be? I want to get to that here in a second, but let's move on, right? It's a nice ability. Ally protection's always good. It's just, I don't think it's going to be as good as people might think. A3 here books up to 100% chance of placing AoE freeze for 1 turn and 30% turn meter reduction. This is a great ability. I love CCs. I love AoE freeze. I love turn meter reduction. All that's really good. And then the passive here, when an enemy tries to place freeze on this champion, instantly transfer it from this champion to the enemy and actively will revive himself and place revive on death on himself when he dies. So, okay. The way I see this champion is he's got 2 PvP skills and 2 PvP skills, but neither of those skills work together. And I think this is the problem with this champion. He's got freeze on the A1, freeze on the A2, on the A3. And what do those things require? Accuracy. This A2 ability here, where he can cleanse his allies from hard CCs, unfortunately, he's got to resist it to start off with. He doesn't have a natural cleanse ability. So this becomes a lot less useful than you might think it is. Now, you can always build him in Stone Skin. I think that's a one workaround way, so that if the rest of your allies get hard CC'd, he's still, protected. Same thing, you could build him in Immune Gear, but, you're probably going to want to have resistance so you don't get those buff strips. I just don't like this skill very much because you got to build him with resistance, but then his other skills require you to build him with accuracy. And when it comes to arena, you generally build, way extreme for one thing, not try to split it between 2. It just doesn't work that well. However, so this is why I don't like this guy's kit that much. However, where it does work really well is in things like Doom Tower, City of Centranos, where you have waves of enemies that have lower thresholds than you find in arena, right? Where maybe you need 400 accuracy or 400 resistance, and then it can work. And that's how I've built Blizzard. He's got, right, 400 accuracy, 400 resistance, pretty slow right now, plenty of defense, but he doesn't have to be super fast. He just needs to be able to start CCing the enemies. And this is where his kit's really going to shine, is as a CC monster, right? And this is what I love about him. Mastery-wise, I've got him in support, just trying to get more turn meter with the rapid response and the arcane celerity. And I did come down to fearsome presence. I don't know if I'd recommend that. I'd probably go get extra resistance or accuracy with eagle eye or unshakable, right? But he's also got retribution and he's got that deterrence. And basically I just want as many counterattacks as we can because that A1 is sweet, right? Every time it counterattacks, you have a chance to freeze people. And I want as many of those as I can get. Pairing him with a counterattack champion would be amazing, right? But basically, I try to build him with resistance and accuracy, and I think we're able to do that for things like Doom Tower. Like, this is floor 88, hard floor 88. This shouldn't be a problem. Now, you'll notice I have no damage in here. He doesn't have any crit rate on him. I've only got, Lady Kimmy and with here just to keep him alive and keep us moving. But that hard CC with his freeze is insane. Look at that. AoE freeze, right? Turn meter reduction as well. It's going to allow everybody to continue to take their turns. Yeah, he's going to put up that ally protection. I think it's a solid ability. But look, another freeze with his A1. He's a really solid champion when it comes to controlling the enemies and controlling the waves. And this is 100% where I think he's going to shine, right? You can take him against these frozen enemies, against these like Tormund teams. And that's why I chose this fight, because Tormund is in here. But you can take him against those types of teams. And he's going to shine. He's going to do extremely well for you because he's going to just go in and lock the enemy down over and over and over again. Now, I do see him having some potential in arena, right? You could build him, like I said, in Stone Skin with a lot of accuracy. You could build him with high resistance and maybe just enough accuracy to lock down, the DPS, the nukers of the enemy, right? Not resistance champions, but non-resistance teams. You could probably do. I could definitely see that being a useful approach. And I would also say, yeah, I can see him being good against Tormund. But, when he places his buffs, when he removes all those debuffs, like those freezes from his allies, he's also placing more buffs, which is another opportunity for Tormund to freeze them all over again. I don't know if anybody told Plary on this, but yeah, that's a thing. Seems a little counterintuitive, if you know what I mean, right? Let's see when we get to the third stage, the third wave, if we can actually replicate something like that. let's see if Tormund here will actually freeze anybody. They all probably have pretty good resistance. We're gonna just A1 a little bit, right? Okay, I got a couple freezes on guys like Bellinor and Siffy. Right, not worried about it right now. Seeing if anybody can't freeze here. I just want one person to get frozen on my squad. Somebody to freeze. Okay, there's a provoke there. That's fine. Their Torments have much lower accuracy, which is fine. It's cool. It's cool, man. Oh, see, there was a freeze there, and she already ran out of it. This is I find it limited. I think it's limited the amount of success that he's going to have here with this. So, oh, that's nice. Okay. A1. Or increased defense. Maybe somebody will freeze up here. Anybody? Trying to replicate an enemy placing a debuff is a little bit hard. And I just don't know that it's going to happen for us here. So whatever. Anyway, whole point is this can work, but the passive from Tormund, I mean, every other time it does activate, right? It's a big thing of actually timing out the skills when they're supposed to happen, because it can mess it up. This was an issue back in the day with several champions where, I think it was Brogni actually would place a block debuff after the increased shields, after the shield buff. And so you would constantly get frozen before you were able to block the freeze. Very frustrating. But you can see how good he is, right? When it comes to these waves, he really does smoke them down and really lock down the enemy, which I'm actually pretty surprised about. Very effective when it comes to this. All right, let's do an actual damage test here. I'm gonna bring him into my arena team. We're gonna fight Layla's team. This is my soulless, right? So you guys can see exactly what he looks like. 215 speed, 100% crit rate, 253 crit damage, 300 accuracy, 5400 defense. Okay. Mastery wise, offense tree to helm smasher, defense tree. Okay. This is him, my soulless. Let's bring in my soulless, right? I can actually just click my there. Find my soulless, put him in there. Boom. All right. This is my normal arena squad, right? This is the team I run all the time. We go first, we get the increased defense, we sleep the enemy, we reset their skills, we come in, we AoE, do pretty good damage. You can see, we got them down to like 40% across the board or so. There's abouts, I would say, right? Not bad. Not bad. Then we reset and do it all again. Is always, enjoyable. And then finish them off. Yeah, there we go. And we can just, like I said, finish them off. Boom, done. Okay, great. We got an idea. That's our baseline now. Okay, so now I'm just gonna find Layla again. Find her team again. Find her team again. Nope. There it is. Okay. There it is. Now I'm just going to bring in Frosty. And I'm just going to swap the gear. Obviously, as best I can. Okay. I've rebuilt Blizzard. You can see we've got 219 speed, 100% crit rate, 253 crit damage, only 212 accuracy, but 5700 defense. Fairly comparable, right? Same offensive and defensive masteries as well. So we'll see how Blizzard. I apologize to everybody for that one. Let's see how this goes though. All right. So speed up. Sleep them down. Reset their skills. Freeze them. I mean, pretty comparable damage-wise. That's pretty comparable, actually. Which I'm kind of surprised about. Wow. I was honestly not expecting that. But that's pretty comparable damage-wise to what we were getting from from Solus. Wow. Wow. That is I think surprising is to say the least. Now, I don't know if I can beat anybody else because honestly, his accuracy is not enough to actually freeze anybody. There's obviously, a lot of these teams are really tough for me. So it's not, I don't really feel super confident being able to knock anything else out here. But we can try. I mean, look, Duchess almost down. That's not too bad. Not too bad. Pretty interesting, honestly. I'm surprised. I was not expecting this kind of work. But it's not too shabby. You'll get some little additional freezes in there. Now, Solus has some advantages, like some of his other skills are pretty darn good, and what I would consider, improvements on things, but constantly resetting cooldown. We might win with Blizzard here. It's interesting though. This is not be how I would consider him to be designed, right? I wouldn't consider him to be designed as an offensive nuker type. It's just not how I would have expected him to be built. And I think we're going to see that with subsequent attacks, right? So even if on the first one, AoE is nice and strong, part of my question is what happens with his other skills. So like here, yeah, see his A1 is just not going to do nearly the same kind of damage. I think that's going to be a bit of an issue. So I really have to come back to that. Really have to get back to that a whatever ability, right? Yeah, I mean, I guess we can kind of do one of those. Yeah, it's just not the same. Eye protection's great though. Nothing wrong with that. Protect us right there. Great. Grab some buffs. Get some skills. Now we can try and do that. And boom, big hit. It's not the worst. It's just not the best. I think that's really what it comes down to. It's not the worst, just not the best. But we can get, with this team, I can get like 3 in a row, I think. I don't know if we can win. Oh boy. See, like that's the difference right there. That's somebody that can do some freaking damage. Let's see. Boom. Almost killed him. All right. More reset. All right. There you go. I mean, look, it's not the prettiest. For me, it's a pretty good result. But I mean, obviously, your mileage is going to vary. I think if I had Solus in on that team, it might have been a little bit faster, but that freeze is very effective. So it's interesting. I don't know that I would say he's great for arena, but obviously has his usage. The fact that his A3 does hit as hard as it does, I'm honestly surprised by. Solus is one of the hardest hitting defensive champions in this game, and he looks like he's hitting on par with that. Obviously the multipliers, you'll probably find that on like Hell Hades site or whatever. That's going to tell you a lot more than I'm going to, but that wasn't a bad little demonstration that Blizzard pulled. So as a champion by himself, I have some issues, right? Like I think obviously he's got a lot of stuff in his kit. Got that freeze ability, which I think is really good. I think if you're early game, mid game player, it's going to be great for your account. He's really going to help you progress through stuff, right? The fact that he can constantly freeze and has the ability to protect, I think is going to make him really, really good. Now, obviously, triple hit A1 as well. That does make him useful for Hard Fire Knight. I don't know that I'd want to necessarily use him for Hard Fire Knight. I mean, I feel like Creodin is as good, if not maybe a little better for that role. And as an epic, it's kind of like, well, why would I want to put books and all this other stuff in for him? You can see create in here, 35% chance versus 50% chance on a 3-hitter, right? That's really the difference between them. And so he's a better version of that. So he's definitely going to be better for things like Fire Knight if you want to use him there. I definitely can see that being a definite spot for him. So he has some distinct spots where he can be used. He has some distinct spots where he can be used, right? We're talking about Fire Knight. We're talking about some arena teams. I think it's still a little iffy on that, but definitely progression stuff for like Doom Tower or Cintranos, I think it can be useful. I would say this is probably like a B, maybe. I think probably a B champion. Maybe a B plus. Honestly, it's not too bad. So definitely came out better than I was expecting. I was expecting this champion to be fairly trash. Definitely better. I don't think the kit really works perfectly well. That A2 is kind of sitting out there like a sore thumb, as opposed to being really integrated into the kit and making him completely useful. It's kind of like it's kind of a mid-tier champion. But I think the freezes are so good. I think the A3 hits hard enough where it does make him a fairly useful champion. Somebody that I don't know that I'd be excited to pull him or do the fusion for, but definitely I can see that being a viable possibility for people. So if you are interested in the fusion, definitely a solid champion. Now, just remember, whether you should fuse him or not is a separate question. Is he worth it or is he good? I think it's separate because this fusion schedule is a bit crummy. I'm not saying I don't really love it. And like I said, I want to talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, so I mean, but if you're on the fence, the only thing holding you back is this champion good or not, I think he's good. I think he's worth fusing in that sense, right? He's probably somebody I'm going to end up fusing, truthfully. But that has probably more to do with getting Tormund than it does having to do with getting him. That's a whole separate thing. Anyway, guys, that's the video. Hopefully this shed a little light for you as far as whether you should do the fusion or not. And that's all we got. So till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.